I'm Val Capone, and you're drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinkin' Moe's. Big Mo here. Today I have with me, pretty damn excited, somebody that you might have seen quite often there on, even today on Warrior Wrestling's Instagram. She's part of Warrior Wrestling, part of Freelance too. I've seen some stuff there. Val Capone, how are you doing?
Oh, Mo, I'm super stoked. You know me. I'm always stoked. I'm a smidge under the weather. I'm so sorry, dude. I've just been gallivanting about traveling as I often do. And so I picked up a little bit of a cold. So you gotta excuse me for wearing a scarf indoors. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that I let people know this, but I'm like legitimately sitting in bed right now. So awkward. So
not hell. Sometimes I've done these while I was sitting on the couch with one of my dog's heads on my lap. So I mean,
well, welcome to our slumber party, pal. I don't know
right.
to quote my favorite movie of all time, Welcome to the Party, Pal, but like to my slumber party, pal, I don't know. So I have a scarf on, even though I'm indoors, and we're legitimately sitting in bed. True story, because I'm an adult toddler. I have a squishmallow, and one of my best wrestling girlfriends gave me Val the Possum for my birthday in January. And so I'm sitting here fighting a cold. But what is the name of your show, my friend?
Drinking at Moe's.
Okay, so even though I'm a little under the weather, I'm going to drink something that's healthy yet alcoholic. I'm going to have a hard kombucha. So yeah.
Me, as I told you on Twitter the other day, I got one of the only couple of these I got left. Damn, Stone Cold knows how to make one damn good beer. I'll just say that.
Oh, hell yeah. So I don't really drink a ton because between the Crohn's and the long COVID and the too many concussions, it's just not good for my noggin. But I am here to say I'm going to have a hard booch. Can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?
Oh, yeah, shit. You're good. Oh, you froze.
I'll be a so that's gonna happen.
Yeah. But first thing I like to start in, pardon if you hear my dogs wrestling over one of their toys right now. But first thing, before we get to something that we kind of talked about a little bit before we start recording, that I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then how did you get into doing what you do in the business? Because everybody's got their own stories.
Well, first and foremost, thank you again for having me on as a guest. Like, I'm super stoked. We've been trying to find the time to make this work. So thanks for your patience.
Oh, yeah.
And also I live in a loft in a tall Chicago apartment dwelling. So sometimes the signal goes. So I apologize in advance if I freeze.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Wouldn't be the first time.
So both of my parents were roadies when I was a wee little Val Fonts, and when I was a wee little Lady Mark, before I even knew what the term Mark was, which is not a bad thing. Being a fan is not a bad thing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And so my dad was a tour manager, production manager, security, lighting director. Like, it just depended on what his role would be, depending on what band he was working with, or I would say we, because when I was a little lass, my sister and I would tour with my mother and father on whatever tour they went on. So while most of my friends went to like soccer camp or overnight camp, we went on tour with you know, Ozzy and
Nice.
David Bowie and
Nice.
Foreigner and Hall and Oates. And, you know, I was conceived on a Parliament Funkadelic tour, and they announced my arrival on a Kansas tour. And when I was 6 weeks old, we went on tour with Styx. And so, yeah,
Hey.
like very different upbringing than your average bear, you know?
Yeah.
And,
You can definitely say that.
Yeah. So, you know, we toured with Ozzy extensively, Ozzy Osbourne. And so when I was like, well, this is going to tell you how old I am, which I don't think it's a bad thing to ask anyone how old they are. And I don't understand why it would be any different to ask a lady or a gent or anyone else how old they are. So I'm never offended when people say, oh, it's never okay to ask a lady how old she is. F that. Like, why is it any different? I don't understand, but that's just me personally. That's for me personally. Maybe other people are different, but I am not. I don't care.
No, yeah.
So when I was 7, so y'all do the math, you can figure it out. I went and saw WrestleMania 2. It was a triple cast between LA, New York, and Chicago, Rosemont. And so we were at the Horizon, which was like my playground because both my parents worked there extensively. And I thought we were there because Ozzy escorted out the British Bulldogs for the tag team match. And my dad said, hell no, kiddo, we were there because I was the original I was the LD at the original Slammies, and that like blew my mind. So I was like, well, that was the first show I ever remember seeing. And he goes, you've been going to matches since you were like 3 years old. What the hell are you talking about? Okay. So I always love wrestling because I've always viewed it as athletic theater. And when people tell me, oh, wrestling's fake, right? I say, no, it's actually not. It's predetermined.
That's the term I like to use more because dogs are acting nuts right now, but I've taken a few bumps in those rings, and even the simplest of bumps, good Lord, like I was walking funny for about a week after that.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot fake the moves that happen in the ring. You can't fake the athleticism that's required. You can't fake a choke slam. Sure, some of it might be participants understanding what needs to be done, but you still need to be athletic. I don't care how quote unquote out of shape some people may think the participants are underneath whatever layers of body parts. You still have to be an athlete. Like, oh, sorry, I don't think I'm allowed to show this koozie yet. I don't know if were you able to see the image on this? Ooh, I don't want to get fired for my shoot job.
No, you're good.
Okay. But you can't fake the things that happen. Like for example, Hijo del Vikingo, you cannot fake the things that he just did.
Oh yeah, that last show, holy shit.
There is no faking that. Whether or not they've discussed beforehand what they plan to do, sure, maybe some of that happens. But you do know that Star Wars is fake, right? And that's coming from a woman with 2 Star Wars tattoos. Like, you do know that Lord of the Rings is fake, right? Granted, I've never seen a single second of it. Like, you do know that every fandom is fake, right? But you still find faith. You still believe. You still get lost in the moment and the storytelling and the beauty that can be captured in the passion. And like, when people tell me, oh, wrestling is fake, right? I say wrong. And I don't care if the outcome is predetermined. I saw the movie Titanic 4 times in the theaters when it was released, even though I've known my entire life the story of Titanic. But because James Cameron directed such a beautiful story, because Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet and, like it just weaves such magic on screen, and because of the action that was my brain, that's from. and and also on that very fateful day, that little 7-year-old Val Fonts sitting there, because watching the in that tag match, watching Refrigerator Perry in the NFL Battle Royale. But the most important match to me, which now I would consider a garbage match by today's standards, was Not So Moolah versus Velvet McIntyre. To this day, is one of the most important matches I've ever seen, because I remember turning to my dad and saying, "Daddy, girls can wrestle." He said, "Yeah, of course they can. You can do anything you want, kiddo. Anything you want to, little girl. Whatever you want to do, you can do it." And that like forever changed my little girl brain, because in the 80s, it was not okay for girls to be beautiful and badass. Like,
yeah, no,
it was
very, very male dominated sport back then. It's gotten better, still somewhat male dominated sport, but I mean, you have people on the rise. Like, I had her on the podcast. Billy Starks is a prime example. Somebody that's just blowing up.
Yeah, Space Jesus for sure. I mean, young Billiam is blowing people's minds left and right, and she's kicking all sorts of ass and taking all the names, because I mean, she's fantastic, and she just turned 18.
I know. It's nuts. I saw a tweet of hers yesterday where she was talking about being right around 100 days out from graduating high school. And I'm like, damn, the countdown is really on, huh?
Dude, she has so much fresh cartilage in her knees. It's not even funny. She's so far removed from major injuries. It's astounding. I mean, like, I just think about, I played roller derby for 15 years. That's why I don't work in the ring. I just work a ring mic.
Yeah.
And I work behind the scenes doing interviews, and I work on commentary. I would love, love, love to wrestle, but I've had too many hits to the head, and I have no cartilage in my left knee, and I need to have my right knee replaced. And, I mean, that's why that's my first thought, is like, wow, she has such fresh cartilage. She has so many years ahead of her. I'm so impressed by how good she is. And oh gosh, if she can stay healthy, she has nothing but up ahead of her.
That is the limit.
And she is so humble, and she is so kind, and she's so funny and so dorky and so silly and so sweet. And she has two of the best damn parents I've ever met, Rebecca and Mouse.
Oh yeah, Mouse is awesome. I've actually had him on too.
And he said stuff other than "shut up."
Yeah, I actually got a little more out of him.
No, he's great. He's wonderful.
Oh yeah, and I actually ran into them both at Sammy Callahan's promotion, Revolver, out in Des Moines. And I'm actually going to be there again here at the beginning of March, so pretty pumped about that. But one thing that you brought up that brings up that you've actually done two things that I have yet to do. One, WrestleMania. My wife was even surprised about this, that I have yet to attend one in person. I've watched plenty of them live, but never have been able to actually attend. So in a way, kind of jealous. Like, that's like on my bucket list. I don't care if I'm up in the damn nosebleeds and the wrestlers all look like ants, just to say that I was there.
Well, I will say, it is the showcase of the immortals,
Yeah.
I mean, it is the show of all shows. It is what put our sport on the map, if you will. because it combined everything that I love all in one. I mean, excuse me, I'm so sorry, everyone. It's the biggest of the big of the big. It really is. And I don't care if you primarily just follow the indies, or if you really just love AEW, or you only love WWE, or if you're like me and you just love all wrestling.
That's
if you only watch New Japan, or if you really just love women's wrestling and that's it, like, it's something that everyone should do at least once. It really is a very cool experience. It's very expensive, but even if you just get the nosebleeds, as you said, it can still be very, very pricey. So just be careful. It can cost quite a bit, but the whole experience, top to bottom, is something that is like unrivaled, to be honest with you.
I can imagine. I know that this year's current one was the closest I've come to almost biting the bullet on it, because it being in Hollywood, I was stationed with the Navy out in San Diego, just a little ways shy of Los Angeles in Hollywood. So I know plenty of the wrestlers still that are down there. So they're all like, dude, you got to come. All you got to do is buy the plane ticket. And I'm like,
and honestly, it's one of those things that, if you're somebody like me, it's something that you do every single year. You just find a way to do it. It's something that I budget for every year. I pick up an extra bar shift. I work an extra shift at Pro Wrestling Tees. I make sure that every homestand that I work at Wrigley Field, I take $20, $10 every game, $20 whenever I have a really big, if I have like a Cubs Sox series that is a mind melter, because like it's just huge money, I'll take extra money, like any chance I can, I just stock money away. I take all my change and I throw it into this it's like a popcorn bucket that I got from the movie theater. I want to say it's Avengers. And I just throw it. And at the end of the season, then I dump it out. And then that's my like wrestling travel money. Or any other bartenders out there, this is a pro tip that my best friend taught me. And she actually ended up buying a motorcycle and all of her gear and her permits, like for her license plate and the city sticker and all that. And in the city of Chicago, they charge you for everything they can. She anytime somebody would tip her in older money, not the brand new money, singles, fives, tens, 20s, 50s, hundreds, whatever it was, she would not add that to her tip pool at the end of the night and put it aside and set it aside at home. And then at the end of the year, she would cash that in, and that's how she bought her motorcycle, quite literally just off of old money. And I started doing that with my beer vending tips. And boy, was it a bummer when somebody would tip me in an old school 100, because, if somebody tipped you in an old 20, then it's like, it's only $20. But if somebody tips you in an old 100, that's a lot of your money. But that's how I save for my wrestling travel. People are always like, how do you travel all the time, Val? How do you afford it? And that's what I do. Little things like that. Instead of going out drinking with my homies, I take the $20 that I would have spent on a round of drinks and I put it aside. I take it out of my wallet before I go out, so that way I have $20 less to drink with. Or I just go out.
I gotta pause real quick. These two are starting to get a little too back into it. All right, so had to pause real quick, but you were talking about how you're able to afford the wrestling travel.
Yeah, but that's how I do it. I just like scrape here and there. And, if I'm not watching Netflix a lot, I just cancel it. And I take the $10-20 that I would have sent to Netflix or to Disney Plus. Like, I haven't watched Disney Plus all month, so I canceled it. And I know it sounds bad because like I'm the queen of Disney. I mean, I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse scarf, like, and if I don't use my apps, I cancel them. And for that month that I know I'm not doing it, like I take the money that I would have spent on that and I put it aside. And that's how I do all my travel. And then next thing you know, next spring, I have enough money to pay for the next WrestleMania. But I also make sure that I can do it because I like to get booked Mania week. So I make sure that I'm available.
Oh yeah, no, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I know a lot of people that do the exact same thing as far as going down for the whole WrestleMania week.
Yeah.
All the shows, good Lord, GCW and their whole collective that they do down there every WrestleMania season is just wow. I'm thankful. Speaking of the collective, I'm thankful they're on Fight Plus now, and you can the whole collective's going to be on there, so I don't got to worry about, oh man, I can only afford this, or this. I can just boom. Like if I have to watch some of it late, I can watch some of it late, but it's all there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be there. There's unfortunately not an all women's show this year, so I won't be working that, but I'll be working Effie's Big Gay Brunch, which I'm really excited about. So far, I've been on every single Big Gay Brunch that we've had. So I'm very excited for that.
I can imagine that'll be a good one. I have caught most of them. Like I remember first time I caught one of those was actually somebody I believe we both know, somebody local to me that does a lot of wrestling travel herself and actually also has her own podcast, Val Pancakes.
That's my Val pal. She's one of my wrestle besties, but also one of my real life best friends. And we actually met in person for the first time ever at the 2020 Collective in Indianapolis, which was the first ever Big Gay Brunch.
I forget if it was that one or one since, but I remember seeing some of her pictures from, it might have been that one, but oh man. And Effie is doing amazing things right now, especially him and Alley Catch there. Holy shit.
Yeah, Bussy is great. Quote me on that. But yeah, Alley Catch and Effie just do spectacular work. When they were the GCW tag champs, it was just so great on so many levels. But yeah, Val Pal and I are actually going to room together in LA. So pretty excited. Yeah,
that'll be fun.
We make for really good hotel mates, and we get along so well. We're just very independent, but we love spending time together. So we just have a great experience whenever we're together. And Val Pal is another person who I met because of Wrestle Travels and because of Mania Week. Honestly, we have bonded very much so. Even though Pancakes doesn't really care about going to Mania, Pancakes always make sure that they're going to be there during Mania Week because she would really just rather be there for the indie side of Mania Week. So like that's one of the really cool things about WrestleMania, as we were mentioning, is that not just the collective, but I mean, there's so many other shows that happen. Like Prestige is going to be running, Pro is going to be running. There's just so many other shows that happen around WrestleMania. So even if you can't necessarily go to the Showcase of the Immortals, there's so many awesome wrestling moments to be had that week. So, and it's just like big wrestling energy. It's so cool.
Oh yeah. No,
definitely the best.
I'm definitely hoping to make it out to one sometime soon. The other thing that, like I mentioned, we talked about something that I said that you've been able to do that I have yet to be able to do, but I've known a few people. Jericho Cruise, that thing just wrapped up, the newest one, and boy, does it from everything that I've seen from people that have gone, holy moly, it looked like one hell of a time.
Oh, absolutely. I have been on 3 out of the 4. I had to miss the first one because I one of my okay, so people always ask me how many jobs do I have? And I always say I have one job and one job only, and that's to be a facilitator of fun. And I like to think I excel at that. But with that one job, I work at many different venues. And one of the venues I work at is Wrigley Field. Now, that particular gig I've had for 17 years. And so I'm a beer vendor at Wrigley Field. What? Yeah. So, yeah. I get paid to make people happy by giving them beer. Oh, at Wrigley Field. Double. Yeah. So I can't really mess that one up because it's a pretty good payday. And it's a pretty flexible schedule. But it is from typically the last week of March or first week of April, through the end of September, sometimes October, pretty rarely in October for the majority of my career there, let's be real. But 2015, I actually had to work in October. 2016, wow, I had to work all the way through October. Who knew? Holy shnikes. 2017, I had to work in October. And 2018, it was questionable. So for a few years there, I wasn't really able to book anything in October. So the first Jera Cruise was October 2018. So I did have to miss out on that, unfortunately, because you had to book it and you can't cancel and get your money back after a certain point.
Yeah.
So because the Boys in Blue were like on the edge of decent, but not good enough to guarantee I'd be working.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, but my was part 2, which was freaking amazing because but it was freaking amazing because that was when Dynamite was filmed on the ship.
Oh yeah, that one.
It was outstanding. Now, don't get me wrong, the waters were so dang choppy and it was right before the world shut down. So it was a little tricky. But I had disembarkment syndrome where I felt like I was still on the ship for like 3 weeks afterwards.
Yep, been there.
So bad. I mean, I remember like some of the talent had to like lay down on the ground because like in between their autograph signings because they were going to throw up and like people were vomiting in between photos. It was insane. This time I would say the cruise was like an A-. It was excellent, but it was almost on the verge of very good from excellent because we didn't get to dock on the private island because there was no dock. And well, you know, like we couldn't get to shore because the waters were so choppy and rough because the weather was really bad. There was a storm. So we just did a day at sea and the weather was shite. They had to cancel wrestling one night. So they did the best that they could. And the cruise was amazing, but it was like almost perfect. But if, you know, the weather can't control it, what are you going to do? And anybody that's complaining about it, that's what I say. Like, you obviously don't know how to have fun, and you also must have a miserable life. Like, you can't control what you can't control, so don't get mad at them. Like, do I wish that we could have gone to the private island? Of course. That would have been so nice. But, like, instead, I got a private concert. Like, we got a private concert with Swerve Strickland, did an amazing set of, like, 30 minutes of him just, like, performing songs that I would have never probably heard otherwise. Because when the hell do I get to hear Swerve Strickland perform his songs? You know?
Yeah.
It was so cool. And like Chris Jericho did a question and answer. I didn't hear it because due to my battles, my struggles with long COVID, I took extra naps and like went back to my cabin more often than I normally do. because all the lights and noises that go along with seeing live music and wrestling, and same reason why I have to wear these glasses now. Like, they're just blue light. I don't actually wear glasses. I don't have to wear glasses, but when I'm talking on a computer or doing interviews, now I have to. Same reason why I have to wear sunglasses when I'm doing a lot of ring announcing, because the lights are too bright. And I wear earplugs at every show I work. Fun fact. I wear very fancy lady earplugs at every show I work now, because long COVID has really ruined my days. But anyway, so for me personally, I spent a lot of downtime in my cabin, but it was fine. I had a balcony, and so I got to enjoy a little bit of the ocean, and it was fun. It was a great cruise.
I can imagine. I've been on a couple cruises. I've actually been, you brought up Disney back, this was a while ago, but I've been on a Disney cruise. That was relatively fun. I one kind of not so great memory there. I was determined to find the underwater Mickey statue at their private island. And when I went snorkeling, I was like, damn it, I'm going to find this thing. And well, I did, but I didn't realize I had been out there for 2 hours and my back was as red as a lobster and I couldn't sleep on my back for the rest of the trip.
Oh my gosh.
And then my wife and I went on an Alaskan cruise for our honeymoon, and that was actually fun because before that, the only two states on the entire western half of the United States that I hadn't been to yet was Washington and Alaska, and our cruise left out of Seattle. So now I've been to the entire western half of the states.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, like I in 2020, just before the world shut down, I went Jera Cruise to Disney for a few days, and then I did the Disney cruise, and it was crazy because everybody was like, fuck that boat, and I was like, I'm gonna be on that in a few days. But it was pretty magnificent. I had a blast, but it was so funny because I was like, what do you mean I don't have a drink package? This is so weird. But I didn't have a drink package this time either, because like I can't really drink a ton, as I mentioned, because of the long COVID. So but I was fine with it. And I had met this wonderful, wonderful woman and her brother on the 2020 cruise, named Beata, and her brother Sebastian, who we all just call brother. And they're from Germany. I met her in line. He had been on the cruise with his now ex-girlfriend at the time, or girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend. And so they were, off doing something, and she was just in line by herself. And I was like, oh, are you here alone? She's like, my brother has his girlfriend. Basically, I'm alone, yes. And I was like, well, no, you're not. Now you know me. Hi, I'm Val Capone. And then we just became friends, and we kept in touch. And, because as much as people love to hate on Twitter, sometimes Twitter can be used for good and not evil, by the way. You just have to decide. I mean, you and I met on Twitter, and look at, now we're like good friends that chat all the time,
Oh yeah.
And you just have to decide to tune out the negativity. Twitter's really great, actually. And like, say hi if you ever want to. Val Capone on Twitter, just at Val Capone. So she and I became friends, and then we like exchanged numbers, and we WhatsApp all the time, and we chat all the time. And I was supposed to go visit her in October, but unfortunately, while I was visiting a former partner of mine, I got COVID in London. And when I touched down in Germany, that's when I didn't feel great. And that's when I tested positive. So I was quarantined. So I wasn't able to see her. And she said, well, if you can, brother and I have a room on the cruise. And I was like, oh, I don't think I can. And then my doctor said, F that guy, you should go on the cruise. Tested me for antibodies and said, now's the perfect time for you to go. So I surprised all my best friends in the States, and like 12 people had no idea I was even going to be on the cruise. Like, they thought I was just going to Miami for one of the girls' birthdays, because we were celebrating her birthday in Miami, so I couldn't be on the cruise. And then my sneaky Germans, as we kept, she was like, "Oh, we are sneaky Germans." And so my sneaky Germans snuck me on the cruise and took care of me the whole time. And we had the best time. And there was this amazing 80s cover band called Guardians of the Jukebox. They were so good. And Fozzy played a bunch. If you like Fozzy, it's a great place to see them. And this fantastic female Kiss cover band called Priss played, and I love Kiss. I've been a member of the Kiss Army since I was 7, so I love Kiss. Like I know I'm wearing a Katy Perry tour t-shirt from Adelaide, and this is a Taylor Swift scrunchie. But as much as I love my pop queens, I love me some Kiss. Like I'm a huge Kiss fan. So I was like losing my mind, and I mean I had to wear my earplugs and I like had to take breaks because my heart started racing too much because Kiss is way too good. And Priss was awesome.
I've heard Jericho talk about them on his podcast.
They're so good. And Quiet Riot played, and there was one point where I was just like, okay, I need to shut down. My brain is like, I had such bad headaches because that's part of the long COVID that I'm struggling with. I get very, very, very severe headaches to the point where my neck starts hurting so bad.
Oh boy, yeah.
And so I had to go. I was like, okay, don't worry about it. You guys go have fun. Everybody go have fun. I'm just gonna go take like a 2-hour nap and take my migraine medicine and do my rituals that I have to do to like kind of make it chill out a little bit. And so I was resting and I had my, sleep mask on and yada yada. And I had my earplugs in, but I could still hear Quiet Riot. And I know that they have a different singer. Snyder is no longer with the group, but holy shnikes, they sounded so amazing. Like I thought, like if you didn't tell me that that wasn't Dee Snider, I would have had no idea. Like, I mean, I knew it wasn't because I saw their first set. I saw like 2 songs. I could only handle so much because it was too much for my brain. But I went, when I was napping, I heard their next set, and dude, Metal Health is like one of my karaoke jams. And when I heard him do the Metal Health will drive you mad, bang your head, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Like he was so good. Yeah, and the food was fantastic as always. The 6-man staff was perfection. Khalil, props to Khalil, he's my dude. Amazing. And like the wrestling every night, twice a night was so good. Like seeing like action, like I just like seeing like just watching the performers that we see on AEW flourish on the cruise ship, and watching like the fans start to like really, really warm up to them. Like watching, because I've known Willow Nightingale for years on the indies, and then working with her on Shimmer, and then seeing how the fans are like receptive to her now that she's on AEW like full time. But watching how people like warmed up to her so much and like getting so excited for her and like singing and dancing along with her and just loving that. And something as simple as Swerve Strickland coming out and hearing the first few bars of Shaka Khan's Ain't Nobody, which was his song on the indies. And I heard the like, and I was like, oh, because for me, that was so huge, because like how many times did I hear that song in Chicago when Shane Strickland was wrestling before he became Swerve Strickland, like for AAW, which is the first promotion I ever ring announced for in 2016. And like just being a lady mark in the audience, like hearing that music hit, and like especially like for his goodbye shows in New York on Mania week, of course, like, and hearing that song and knowing that every time I hear that song, I will always think of Strickland. And getting to watch him come out and people being so confused, like, who is this? Who is this? And legit being one of the only people in the audience, like dancing my face off, and it hurt my heart. So I had to like hold my chest because my heart rate skyrocketed, and I had to like look at my wristwatch to make sure like I wasn't having a heart attack.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just like those are the moments that you live for on the
Oh yeah.
Jarrett cruise, like those little cool quirky things, you know. And then there was like karaoke every night, and
Oh,
my girlfriend that were like, because I couldn't go to karaoke because it was like too much for me personally. Although cruises prior, I used to go, oh my gosh, all the time. I sang "Come Sail Away" by Styx, of course, and I had like a captain's hat, and it was like a whole thing. But like I couldn't go this time around because of my health struggles. But my girlfriends, Lauren and Maggie, they went every night with Greta and Allie, like all my girls, and they were like owning it. Like it was so cool to hear their experiences and see the videos, and like Eddie Kingston singing "Hello" from Lionel Richie. Like what? You know, like where else are you gonna hear this? Yo, from Yonkers, you know what I mean? Like hello, like
oh man. He is in particular Eddie Kingston. They're one of my absolute favorites right now. I want to meet him so damn bad.
and he's so nice. And then like, so I'm sitting there in the buffet with my beautiful Germans, my German sister and brother. And then I saw Aubrey and her husband, who I know from wrestling in Seattle. He was in a tag team for a promotion that doesn't exist anymore. And I actually knew him before I knew her. And then I met her as Girl Hepner before she became Aubrey Edwards. And so like I waved to them, and then they came and joined us for coffee, and we're like just chilling, hanging out, having coffee, just shooting the shit,
Nice.
hanging out. And like that's what's so great about the Jarrett cruise. And then I saw people that I met on the second one, and then people that I met on the third one, and you know, made new friends. And I mean, it's the best. And just
Oh
like running
yeah.
around the ship and like just
Yeah.
everybody should go to it.
Oh
Everybody.
yeah.
And
I'm hoping someday.
well, the next one is, and it's called Five Alive, but me and all my girls, my best girl Amy, we met in line before we even got on the ship in 2020. Like we've been in love. We're BFFs. Like we talked every single second of every single day straight for 2+ years. Like she was my best friend all throughout the pandemic, kept me sane, kept me alive, and vice versa. And we're all part of this like family. And Bree, brother Bree is what we call her. And she was wearing a dress that said Bree mode. And somebody went up to her and was like, wrong promotion. And she was like, it's my name. Her name is Bree. And when she drinks a lot, she goes into what is known as Bree mode.
Remote. Yeah. No, I can. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I know. Hell, I've had some of those moments myself back.
We've all gone into Bree mode. Let's be real.
Yeah,
But,
our own versions of it. Yes, definitely.
yeah. And so like me and all our girls, like we're all like, so it's called Five Alive. Why isn't it called Cinco de Jericho? It's going to Mexico.
I like it better. That yes, that might
Agreed.
not be what they officially are calling it, but nope. I'm forever from this point on. That's what that one's being called for me. Nope,
Cinco de
definitely.
Jericho. Just saying.
Hey, Twitter movement hashtag Cinco de Jericho. We get them to change it.
I know. Or whatever. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's January 26th through the 30th. So you got plenty of time to save. Just saying.
Okay.
I don't work for Sixth Man or the Jarrett Cruise, but I do want as many rad people to go as possible. So
Definitely. Well, one other thing, well, we kind of mentioned we do have this in common, Warrior Wrestling. I was actually invited to when they were in St. Louis. I was at the show at the fan fest before, and I actually got to talk to, well, now Bronson Reed again. I got to talk to him for the podcast right before the show started, so highlight for me. But I remember I've since talked to both Casey Navarro and Mike Bennett about that particular show, because there's that spot where Casey Navarro dove from the top over the barricade and onto Mike Bennett that happened like literally feet in front of me. But how's things going with Warrior Wrestling? Is I know they had a short little hiatus, but man, have they been getting back into it. I mean, hell, this last show, right before they had that, I guess the Vikingo embargo was lifted. Now everybody gets to watch his US shows, and holy shit, did he have a banger at that one?
I mean, it was unreal. It was surreal. I had to so I was working double time, as I often do for Warrior. I work double, triple, or quad time. I don't think just for the last show I was doing both ring and backstage correspondent work. Now, normally I do ring and commentary, or commentary correspondent work, some combination of the both, or of all three.
Yeah.
And also sometimes for our stadium series shows, I also do excuse me, I also do the radio broadcast with our catch hook shoot guys. And so I missed the first half of that match, but I got there just right before that very specific spot happened, where Vikingo jumped
from
up
the
ring post to the where he ran up the Mario brick castle, and then did the oy vey. It melted my brain.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I watched the entirety of the match like this. I mean, it was terrifyingly good.
I can only imagine. And I actually had another proud moment with Warrior, where right before Warrior 26, wait, was it 26? It was one of the last shows where my part of my podcast with Steve, the promoter, was actually used in the pre-show, which when I got word of that, I'm like, oh my God. Like, like I fanboyed like crazy, man.
Yeah, I was super stoked for you, because that was on the show that Matt Raywalt and I did commentary.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, I was super stoked for you, because when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I had to give you the Arsenio Hall fist bump, you know.
Yeah.
I was super stoked for you, because I know that you do love Warrior, and you do love being a part of the Warrior family. And just because you're not necessarily in our zip code doesn't mean you don't get it, and doesn't mean you don't. I mean, you are part of the Warrior family, Mo. Like that's what's so great about Warrior.
I got my We Are Warrior shirt over just off to the side of me here. But man, yeah, like you said, I have been blessed to be a part of the Warrior family. I mean, clear from the time that I first interviewed Steve for the podcast, and him, and I remember when he invited me to come down to the St. Louis show, and I'm like me and my podcast. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like,
well, and that's one of the things that I love about working with Warrior, and I have since I started working with Warrior after Warrior 2. You know, that was the first one that I attended. I was working the day of Warrior 1, but so I missed the very first one, but I saw it, I watched it, and I was like, wow, this is something really special. And then Warrior 2 I attended, and after that, Principal Steve Tortorello asked me, would I be interested in coming on board, because he had seen the work that I had done with Freelance and Freelance Underground, and he was impressed, and he reached out to me and said, would I be interested in coming on board as the Warrior Wrestling backstage correspondent? And never in my wildest dreams did I think I would get the opportunity to do what I get to do and be as creative as I get to be. And not just that, but to interview the likes of, Mick Foley. What? I mean, I watched Hell in a Cell live with my friends. I remember being stunned when he jumped off the cell, and when they did the close-up, I remember thinking
that
he had
thing in his nose,
a booger in his nose, but it was his tooth. I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's his tooth.
Yeah.
And being shocked. And he was so nice and he was so kind. And, I've worked with him a few times now. We've, had enough conversations about roller derby, and he serenaded me with Jim Croce's roller derby queen. And his daughter over the years become like one of my very best friends, and honestly one of my best resources for dealing with my health struggles, because Noelle also suffers greatly from concussions and concussion syndrome. And so she and I are each other's support systems for just, we know what it's like to not feel normal, and
Yeah.
how do you cope and how do you survive? And so, I mean, it's great to get to be, I mean, to get to be a part of something like Warrior and have like this instant family. And even though unfortunately that means Frank comes with the territory far too
That's
often.
that's what I was gonna say. When you brought up Noelle, I mean,
Look, I mean, she sustained a major head trauma.
I know, right? And
Okay,
not
it's not the
only
girl's fault. It's
yeah,
not the girl's fault.
oh yeah, and not only can she be a resource on how to deal with the medical struggles, she can also be a resource on how to deal with Frank the Clown.
No, she can't, because she feels sorry for him.
Ah,
So she must.
okay.
That's you. Not only has she been walloped in the head seriously, and it's like ruined her life, but I think she just feels sorry for the guy.
Yeah, I can see that because, good Lord, going back to St. Louis, I can remember when that was when things were really heating up there with between him and Athena. And literally, I remember being at the fan fest and talking with a few people, and I see her coming in. And then before you know it, you hear Frank the Clown and this high pitched scream just running off.
Of course he was. Of course he was running away scared, like the scaredy cat he is. You'll notice
Although,
he never confronts me because he knows better. That's all I'm saying.
although,
One time he tried, didn't work out so well for him in Freelance. That's all I'm saying.
funny,
But
funny thing with him that I don't think he realizes, but when they were setting up the tables and they were trying to figure out where to put him, there was this corner that like had this a little bit further
trash can?
back
They
of
should have put him in a trash can.
it was by a trash can. And you know who convinced them to put the name thing by the trash can? Me.
Good job.
I've oh man, I've actually had this idea that I wanted to bring up to Steve because I
Is it
me
where I get to murder Frank and get away with it and nobody complains because people would say thank you and I would be the queen of the universe?
uh we can add that in there.
Okay.
But I had this idea, like my mind, I come up with wrestling ideas all the freaking time when I'm bored. But I had this weird idea of what if I went to interview, like plan it out, like I'm gonna interview Steve, but we make it like I'm going through the Warrior Twitter account, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, Frank the Clown shows up, like he hijacked the Twitter account because he's been hearing all this crap, and then it's like, oh, what the hell? I'm supposed to be just weird ideas I have in my head. Because yeah, I would love the chance to just I would love the chance to be in the ring with him.
Well, regardless, I do think that Steve is very, very kind. Him and Eric have given me wonderful opportunities. I also love that Steve really wants to show the strength of all genders in wrestling.
That
And
is
it's so crucial and so important to me because as someone that wasn't told that I could be the water girl when I tried to join the wrestling team in high school, when I was much stronger than most of the boys on the team. And I, like, because I was 14 and they just didn't want to lose to a girl. Now, this was a long time ago. Keep in mind, this was a very, very, very long time ago, because when I was in high school, it was not okay for young girls to be on the wrestling team.
Mm.
Now things are a little different, typically,
Yeah.
thankfully.
Yeah.
But it wasn't okay, and it wasn't accepted, and it wasn't supported. And, you know, but it's very cool that even though my body doesn't want to keep up for, being in the ring at this point after 15 plus years of roller derby and all the injuries that come along with it. The average roller derby career is like 2 to 5 years. Some of us skate longer, most of us don't. Plus, all the stupid long COVID crap that I'm dealing with. I'm very, very happy that I have the ability to live out my dreams in some way.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. You're getting to do some great stuff.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate it. And especially getting to like defy gender norms and age norms, height and size, like being told that I'm too big or I'm too tall or I'm too old, or just I'm not skinny enough, I'm not pretty enough, my hair's too short, all these things that I've been told over the years. Yet people like Steve and Matt Nix and Rabbi Jeremy and Mikey and Tyler, Rabbi Jeremy from Second and Mikey and Tyler from Black Label Pro, Matt Nix from Freelance, Steve from Warrior, Matt Pacalling from Zello, obviously Effie. None of them give a flying what's it. They're all just like, no, Val Capone rules, and we're going to support Val Capone as one of our voices, one of our talents. That's who we want in the mix, and suck it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
I feel very thankful. I feel very, very, very lucky that I have such wonderful people who support me. And I can't even believe it. And I can't say thank you enough to all the people that have given me such positive feedback.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I love what I get to do, and it's crazy that I just get to make up stories with my friends and have more fun than anyone, and that I get to work with people like Hankster, like Henry. I call him Hankster, who runs the cameras for Warrior. He and I just do the stupidest crap to make each other laugh, basically. And like when Catherine was my camera person, and she and I would just like bring Oreos to bribe people behind the scenes to do interviews with us. And now to the point where people are like, hey, Val, what kind of Oreos do you have? You know what I mean? It's fun. It's fun,
Oh yeah. No, I can imagine. I mean, you got a fan in me. I've been watching, since before I interviewed Steve for the first time, and rarely, if ever, do I miss a Warrior show when I know what's coming on. So
Thank
definitely big. And like you said, Steve does great things with making sure all sorts of varieties of people are included. They got a little bit of something for everybody. And that's something that I have definitely at least attempted to bring with my podcast. Like I try to have, a little bit of everybody, because, this phrase gets, I think, this phrase gets a little bit overused sometimes, but, this is for everybody. That is for everybody. I truly try to feel and make it feel like Drinking at Moe's is for everybody, because I've had, somebody, one of Pollo Del Mar's tag teams that's, I'm having a brain fart on his name right now, but I've had him on. I've had Don't Die Miles. I've had Alex Colon. I've had Billy Starks. Like, I've had people that I never thought in a million years that I'd be talking to, especially I'm just passing my first year doing this.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, when you're nice and approachable and you obviously love what you do and you treat people with respect and I mean that's what matters and you create a very welcoming environment and like, I hate to say like good vibes, man, but I am kind of a
Yeah.
hippie asshole, so good vibes, man.
No,
Like
and no, I definitely try my best to do that because I know if the roles were reversed, I'd want to be welcomed into something like that too. And I've been lucky in some instances that I've been invited to this or that I have been a part of some of those things. Well, two things that I have to kind of round
yeah.
off the show. I have two categories. One's a bit of a name game where I try to tailor it to guests sometimes. Most of these people have been a part of Warrior Wrestling at some point. But first off, current Warrior Wrestling Women's Champion Athena. And you give me your thoughts. I forgot if I mentioned that.
About Athena?
Yeah.
I really enjoy working with her. I think that she's phenomenal. I loved her when she was on Shimmer. Like I'm a really big Shimmer lady mark. Me and one of my besties who used to work at Wrigley Field with me. I mean, I guess I worked with him. He was there for 19 years. We used to go to every single Shimmer show together. And so I was a huge Athena fan. And then when she got signed to WWE as Ember Moon, I was thrilled for her, and I loved her gimmick as like the werewolfy. I loved
Oh yeah.
that because it was different. It was something that we hadn't seen before, and I just always thought Athena was so badass. And
Yeah.
when she was like, just make up anything bizarre, for her hometown backslash, you know.
All right, everybody. A little technical difficulties, but we are back. We were talking about Athena.
Yes. So, sorry about that, by the way.
Yeah, good.
Switched it to my cell phone. Hopefully we won't have any more issues, but I have zero issues with Athena. I absolutely adore her. I think she is a phenomenal champion. I love everything about her. I think she is an excellent wrestler. I think that she is top to bottom everything that you look for in a wrestler. She has a great skill set. She has a great mic in the ring. She has a great mic set, skill set on the mic rather.
Yeah.
Her ring gear is great. Like she always just has a great ring presence.
Definitely.
To me, it doesn't matter if she's heel or face. She's one to watch, which is great because I feel like some wrestlers are only good when they're heel. Some wrestlers are only good when they're face. And some people can't work either side. You know what I mean? She's great as a tweener. Like and she's stunning. She's stunning. She's a beautiful human. Like both inside and out. It should never just be about the aesthetics of a person, but she brings the full package to the ring, and her light up masks and ring gear, it's just awesome. And I just think that she is phenomenal. And I'm very glad that she is representing Warrior. Now, I hope that she's able to fit it into her schedule again soon. She can come and defend the title is my only concern because I know that she is very, very busy.
Yeah, so, being with now having the Ring of Honor Women's Championship on top of it, that we talked about. Well, it had been talked about, Deonna Purrazzo being a champ. Well, now Athena very much so in the same boat there.
Right. And I mean, I do think that if anybody can handle that workload, it's definitely going to be Athena. I think that she can, and I know that she will. Like, I don't know what's going on with Ring of Honor personally, so I just hope that it's not going to be a heavy duty commitment as we saw with La Mera Mera. She had to drop the title due to
Yeah.
AEW's heavy commitment.
Yeah.
But I also know that Ring of Honor has a lighter schedule, or they did. So that's the thing, is that we don't know what's going on with Ring of Honor.
I'm hearing some things through the grapevine, but don't want to go.
That's the deal, Mo, is that rumors are just rumors until they become facts. And
Exactly.
I am never one to listen to internet rumors until they are facts.
Exactly. That is the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
We next person on the list, we kind of talked about her a little bit. Billy Starks.
Billy Starks.
Yeah, I love that. I just saw her on another Dark this week.
Starks
so
on
that
Darks
was
on Darks on Stark.
yeah.
Sky's the limit for that kid, yo. And by that kid, I mean that amazing young woman who is just kind. She's fantastic in and out of the ring. I'm very stoked that she is the second wrestling champ, at least for now. We have a show. I'm a ring announcer for Second Wrestling as well. It's a promotion that I'm proud to work with, seeing as I'm half Jewish. And it's was started by a rabbi. I mean, I am Jewish. My mother was Jewish, so I am Jewish. It was started by a rabbi who came down from Minnesota. And so Billy Starks is the champion currently for Second Wrestling. We have a show. I'm sorry?
No, I was just saying that's awesome.
Yeah, she's a champ at Second Wrestling. She's also the champ at Black Label Pro, who I also work with. I'm working Warrior on the 18th.
Yes.
But Black Label Pro also has a show on the 18th. All My Friends Are Enemies, I believe is the name of it. And also Love Stinks, but Billy is wrestling on the second show, if I'm not mistaken, which is All My Friends Are Enemies. But so she's wrestling on the 18th and 19th of February. Yeah, I mean, I believe she's wrestling both shows, title on the line for both shows, if I'm not mistaken. She's wrestling, I know for a fact, on the 19th, she's wrestling Lady Frost, which I'm very excited. Wow, if that's a wrestler that I want to see more of in the Midwest, Lady Frost for sure. But
totally.
I really hope that Billy Starks signs, if she's going to sign with one of the two bigs, I hope she goes AEW.
Oh, totally.
I think that she could learn a lot in WWE. I really do. But I think that AEW would permit her to continue to work on the indies. And I don't want to see her lose that side of herself. I think that she really enjoys it. I think that she getting to go to Japan was such a wild dream come true for her. And I want to see her continue to live her dreams. And she's such a fabulous young woman. I mean, like we were saying earlier, she's only 18 and the sky's the limit for her, man.
Totally.
She's such a good dude. She is such a good dude. And dude is a all gender.
Oh yeah. No, I'm definitely one that dude can be used all over.
Yeah. Unless people tell me not to use it, then I use it for all gender. But her parents are excellent. As we said earlier, Rebecca and Mouse are fantastic. She's got great support.
She's got a good head on her shoulders. She definitely, she's doing it right.
Yeah. And she's going to do a lot more right.
Oh, yeah, totally. Next up, somebody that has history throughout the Midwest, somebody that I met at the Warrior show in St. Louis, and she's been doing great things with Warrior since. Tootie Lynn.
I love Tootie Lynn. I love her. She's the sweetest. She's like, oh, hey, Miss Val. I just love her so much. She is such a gem. She is such a love. I think she has so much potential as well. She's, about 6 years in, if I'm not mistaken. but she does such good work, and she has been working with Team Ambition,
Oh
and
yeah.
she has got such good energy and such good positivity, and she has a solid skill set. And I
Oh yeah.
think if she just continues on the road that she's already been traveling down, I think staying focused, staying positive, and continuing to work hard, she's going to be great. She's
No.
going to continue to be great, I should say, because she already is damn great.
Oh yeah. No, totally agree with you.
And I mean, she, people are like, well, she's real small. So she's real mighty. Last I checked, she's small and mighty, mofo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I watched her take down Kylan King, and that is not an easy feat.
That was a great match.
Yeah, small and mighty, but oh so fighty. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Got a lot of fire in.
And the thing with even saying anything about size, I mean, yeah, back a while ago, wrestling was a bit of a big man's game, but things have changed in that aspect. You don't have to be the big hulking brute to have success in the business anymore.
Not at all. In fact, I think it's sometimes a hindrance because it can cause a lot of injury.
Yeah, it can.
I mean, honestly, a lot of my injuries came when I was at my heavier playing weight. When I was playing roller derby, my heaviest I played at was 226. And it was really great for my blocking, but my recovery time took a lot longer because I would have to move so much weight across the track. And when I lost a lot of that bulk, I actually played quite a bit better because I didn't have to lift as much up to get up off the ground when I would take myself out, when I would take out my opponents. So, yeah. So when I got down to like 209 or 206, just losing 20 pounds when I streamlined just a little bit helped quite a bit.
Last but not least for the name game, personal favorite of mine right now, Jordynne Grace.
Jordynne Grace, we haven't seen her in a while, and I hope that she returns to Warrior. I love her. I think that she is so strong and so powerful. I'm just fascinated by everything that she does, to be honest with you, because she has so much power in a smaller package, but so much power.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Like I've seen some of the videos she's done of her powerlifting. It like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm. And like quite a transformation as well. She's leaned up so much, and it's very impressive to see how much power that she's been able to harness. Is that the right word? I mean, it's just she's very, very impressive. And I mean, I love watching her work over the years. She's just another one that's just impressed me from day one till now. Like it's just awesome to watch her at work.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Well, next category, bit of a random one. I never really know what questions I'm going to put in here until I'm putting together my notes. Some could be wrestling related, some might not. You just answer how you see fit.
Iron Maiden. Oh, okay.
First one is the only one I really ever keep in the same position. Craziest in-match moment. The like one that you've witnessed.
I mean, I would say Joey Janela off the goalpost was pretty bonkers.
Yeah, I would venture to say that would be a good example of a crazy match moment right there.
I would say that was pretty bonkers. I would say Charlotte Flair almost hitting me with a kendo stick.
I've I've had one in match moment like that where a friend of mine that was wrestling had I forget what type of match they're doing. I think they were doing a hardcore type match, but they're outside, and before I know it, he's throwing his opponent onto me. He's like, hold his arms. I'm like, okay.
Well, okay, so I was ringside as I tend to sit. Like, I'm sorry. I work really hard. I work a lot. Like, I love my jobs. I do. So a lot of them don't really feel like work because I love what I do and I do what I
Yeah.
love, right? Like, I don't have jobs that I don't like because I work so often.
Yeah.
And why would I have jobs I don't love? Duh.
Totally.
So yeah, so me and my bestie Vince, he buys the tickets, I pay for the air travel and hotels and food and drinks and things like that. And it normally ends up evening out, right?
Yeah.
And so we often sit ringside. And excuse me, cruise cred. Not COVID though. I've tested myself. I think I already told you that, but just so you don't worry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, and I test myself whenever I travel. It's just better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to get my friends and family sick. That's not nice.
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
Anyway, so evolution, right? Obviously, for a lady mark like me that had her little lady mind blown at age 7, evolution was probably my favorite pay-per-view I've ever been to date, even though it obviously was kind of lip service. It still was very important to me, and it still was like one of, if not the greatest pay-per-views of all time in my mind, because it was just so fucking fantastic. But so I was sitting ringside, and during the was it the last man stand or last woman standing match between Becky and Charlotte? Shoot, what did they call it? Yeah, it was the hour long. Sorry,
Yeah.
my brain is not working. And Charlotte almost hit me with the kendo stick. I had to like duck.
Oh,
That was
no.
pretty cool. So that was pretty cool.
Yep, that's a crazy one.
And especially because Charlotte is probably, unpopular opinion, my favorite wrestler. I know everyone's like, what? I know.
Hey, I actually went back and looked, and if you count there was this thing about, is she gonna match her dad and John Cena, or
She's already gone past.
oh yeah, no, if you count,
They
I think it was the Divas title that some people didn't seem to count, but if you count that, she's already at least matched them.
they dropped her. And also, you know what? They people are so crappy about Charlotte because she is the best. Like, she is such a freaking good wrestler, but she gets like shoved down your throat. So they just shit talk her because they're like, everyone says, well, it's just because she's Ric Flair's daughter. And it's like, sure. Did Ashley Flair get the door open for her because of her dad? I don't doubt it. But did she kick it wide open because of her own work ethic and her own natural ability? Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
she got it cracked open because of her lineage. But you know who doesn't kick it wide open? Nia Jax. Like, okay. Like, Denia Vax did not. Props to Miss Katie Fabe for that nickname. That was not mine. That was my girl from Fightful.
I like her.
She's amazing. She came up with that. And that was amazing when she said that. But Charlotte is like so fucking good. She is so talented in every goddamn way.
Oh yeah, no, there's when you really look down to it, there's only so much that somebody can open the door. It's up to the individual to bum rush their way right through it. And if you just don't do anything, I mean, you're not even an open door is not really going to matter.
I know. And Charlotte is so ding dang good. It's not even funny.
No,
She
totally.
so good. But anyhow, but I will say mid-match, Eddie Kingston and Homicide were wrestling in like in a match in maybe 2015. I'll have to think about it. I can't recall what year. Maybe 2016, 2015. It was at 115 Bourbon Street. Yeah, I think 115 Bourbon Street, where AAW has their shows that is not Berwyn and not I should know the name of the venue. It's 115 Bourbon Street. It's the first place that I ever ring announced. And they were like doing a street fight kind of thing, or they just like brawled out into the audience, and they were like they like were taking stuff out of the garbage can and hitting each other with it, and they were beating each other with Corona bottles, and they wrestled on top of me. Like they were like beating the crap out of each other with Corona bottles, and we're like beating up, like punching the shit out of each other. Excuse me. On top of me, because I was like leaning on the bar because I was GA. So my elbows were on the bar, and they were wrestling on top of the bar. And I was like, oh my God, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And they were like, you okay, girl? And I was like, and they're like, cool. And just got beat the shit.
Oh man. I swear.
But like with way more accents and anger.
I swear one of the crazier ones that I've witnessed was actually at Sammy Callahan's promotion, where Jake Christ was having a death match against Joel Bateman, and the match ended by them taking 4 metal folding chairs, bridging 2 panes of glass, and then Jake Christ's manager came in with lighter fluid and lit the glass on fire.
Oh wow.
My jaw was on the floor.
Yeah. I would say Matthew Justice jumping off the balcony at Talia Hall was pretty awesome. On January 7th at GCW Save Me, that was pretty cool.
Though I always joke when it comes to Matthew Justice or any of the SGC that their matches might as well be sponsored by Home Depot with all the shit that gets thrown around there.
I know.
But,
I was like, Matt, can you please not die my birthday week? I would appreciate that. And I felt really good because I got to help Nick Gage put a door into the ring and go, it's my birthday week. And he goes, happy fucking birthday, and high-five me.
Oh
and
my God,
like,
I can hear that in his voice.
Yeah. Although I was like, it's my birthday. I felt pretty good about that.
For some reason, the way that
happy fucking birthday. And then he high-fived me. I was like, oh my God. And January 2nd is actually my birthday, but I was just so excited. I got caught up in it. And then I felt like a poser. I was like, well, I mean, it's my birthday week, you know?
For some reason, the way you were saying that you said, it's my birthday, it literally, I don't know why this popped into my head, but Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons, where he's like, here's my birthday.
I know. My breath smells like cat. My cat's breath smells like cat food. Like, yeah, totally.
My dad says I'm this close to sleeping in the yard.
Normally I'm more of a Marge Simpson
Oh,
voice. An alligator wearing sunglasses. What?
oh man. Before we get into the next part, I favorite Simpsons line ever was when they had the air show and Sideshow Bob was threatening to blow up Springfield when he was in a blimp. And they're going throughout the air base. And look, they get to the porta potties and they're opening. They get to one with Grandpa. And he's like, this elevator only goes to the bottom. And somebody made an awful mess down there. Favorite line.
The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, I could do a whole another podcast on favorite Simpsons stuff. But well, speaking of Simpsons, it's something to watch outside of wrestling. What would you say is a favorite thing of yours to watch outside of wrestling?
Tarot card readings on YouTube.
Okay.
It's my calming. My like. So I don't watch a ton of TV because I'm a bartender, and so I truly do not. I watch Disney YouTube and tarot card readings on YouTube, or I watch like Day After Dynamite with Will Washington or Grapsody.
I'll
like,
get those. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch Fightful Select. Like I watch
listen to
Sour
the podcast.
Graps.
Yep. I listen to the podcast versions while I'm at work.
Yeah. I mean, I work, if I'm not working at the bar, I'm at Pro Wrestling Tees. So yeah, that's a lot of that. What do I watch? Yeah, I just sports ball because I have to keep up with it for work and also because I love my Cubs. It's really hard because like right now, with the brain disorder that I have from long COVID, I don't really watch TV at all because it's very hard. That's why I have these glasses now, because the blue light from computers and TVs, even my cell phone, I couldn't even decorate for Christmas or Hanukkah. Like my dad's side of the family is Irish Catholic. My mom's side of the family is Jewish. So I do both holidays. But I couldn't even have Christmas lights on my Christmas tree. And I couldn't even decorate for Hanukkah or anything because the lights were too much for my head. It sucks, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like, I don't really watch anything. It's a very sad existence right now, to be honest with you. I listen to a lot of music right now. I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift's Midnight's, the 3 a.m. edition. I listen to a lot of Katy Perry, Katie, my lady. I listen to a lot of Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden is like one of my favorite bands of all time.
Funny you bring up, one, Taylor Swift. My wife actually, through one of the local radio stations, actually won tickets to see her down at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City.
Very cool.
She's gonna be taking her sister. So
if your sister bails, let me know. I will go.
I'll keep that in mind. And then you bring up puppy is acting crazy right now, but you brought up tarot card readings. I actually have a friend that I used to work with that actually has their own YouTube channel where they're playing video games, but the decisions for the video game are all done through tarot cards.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to send you that info there because I like to help support my friends.
Well, yeah. And I was going to say, that's the other thing I do is like, I watch Veda Scott's vlog because they're like one of my BFFs. Of course, I watch their spouse's vlog because Speedball Mike Bailey is hilarious and super kind. I watch,
Ethan Pages. I watch his.
I used to watch his religiously, but since I don't get to like buy a ton of toys this time of year, I try not to watch it because this
don't
is the
get
time
ideas.
of year. Yeah, because like so this time of year is very hard on my people, and by my people I mean bartenders and beer vendors, because there's no baseball happening. So one of my jobs is completely non-existent, and the other job is very minimally financially viable, because dry January can go F itself. You have no idea how much you hurt all the service industry by just not being able to show restraint, my friends. Lent and dry January are two of the worst things you can do to the people that you care about the most, your bartenders. Just learn how to show restraint. Okay? It's called just drink one or two less.
No, I completely agree. And well,
or send your favorite bartenders Venmos all the money you want that you're not spending at the bar.
Definitely. Well, we're talking a little bit about drinks here. What would you say favorite drink, whether alcoholic or non? I know you mentioned not drinking as much because of health reasons.
So my all-time favorite drink, this is so lame, water. I drink so much water. It's bonkers kazoo how much water I drink. Like this. So I'm obsessed with cuppies. Oh yeah, you just saw my pill bottles on my desk. I'm sorry.
Nah, you're good. My has a bunch of those big Starbucks cups like that one. I don't think she has that one, but she has a ton of them like it.
Yes, I have a million of them. I have one for every promotion I work, the color that represents it. And this would be my one that I use for Big Gay Brunch, because I like to think this is my bi cuppy, because I represent the bisexuals on the LGBTQ plus community. So yeah, it's kind of like the color of the bi flag. It's blue, it's blue, purple, and pink, right? But then I have one for Warrior, and I have one for Black Label Pro, and I have one for, every promotion I work. Yeah. So I drink anywhere from 8 to 10 or more, 8 to 10 minimum, which these are 20 ounces. So it's 160 to 200 ounces minimum a day.
I need to get better at home, but I do drink quite a bit of water at work, because I'm trying to cut back on my soda intake, because my wife says I have a bit of a Dr. Pepper problem. I tell her the only time I have a problem is when I don't have any.
I used to love soda pop, but about 20 years ago, I cut it out and I never looked back. I was a Mountain Dew junkie, and I was like, it's making me jittery all the time, and I just cut it out, kicked it cold turkey. The other thing I love, life itself, iced coffee, particularly cold brew. Oh, I fucking love it. I like it all year round. I like it cold and black, like my heart. Not at all.
Okay. I'm not so much of a coffee drinker, but every now and then when I'm with my wife and we're driving through Starbucks, I like caramel stuff, so I'll get whatever with caramel in it. And sometimes I don't remember what I usually get, so I'm like, she's like, "Do you want something?" I'll just say, that caramel thing I usually get."
Oh, macchiatos are really nice, especially if you get it with coconut milk. If I'm gonna get a sweet, sugary drink, that's sometimes what I'll get. My Heels Combat Club, that's my best girlfriends in the HCC. We often get gaga over the pumpkin spice latte.
Okay.
My basic bitches, you know what I'm talking about. Moonshine. It's hard kombucha. It's really nice. It's also good for your guts. So if any of you out there are looking for something that's 6%, it's more than a light beer, but less than a super heavy duty beer. It's not bad. I really like it.
All right.
This is a black cherry breeze. It's really nice. Yeah, black cherry vanilla. Can't go wrong. I've enjoyed it.
I do like black cherry flavored stuff. Well, last thing before we kind of
Oh,
wrap it up.
Malort. Malort's my favorite.
Oh, yeah. I remember you talking about that before.
I know. I was hoping I could send you some, but then I forgot I was on a cruise ship.
Yeah, it's all good. Maybe some other time. But last but not least, best advice for anybody wanting to get into the wrestling business. Doesn't have to be particularly centered towards wrestling related itself, but there's so many different jobs that you can have within the wrestling business, like commentator, ring announcer, backstage interviewer. What is your best advice for anybody wanting to get into that aspect?
Like for what I do?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, boy, offer to help, have fun, ask questions, be nice, don't be late.
That's a good one. That is a very good one right there. Very important aspect of it that a lot of people don't really get the hang of.
Yeah, and I have a million jobs, so I'm always late.
But no, all of the things are very, very good.
No, honestly, I think really what it boils down to is take a chance on yourself, because if you don't, then nobody else will.
That very true, and it also kind of similarly ties into something that I've actually talked with a few different people about, where taking a chance on yourself, but also believing in yourself in taking the chance. Because you know what, if you're not believing in yourself, then one, the promoter you're trying to get in with isn't going to, and the crowds that you're going to be getting in front of potentially aren't going to believe in you either. Because it all starts with you believing in yourself.
Well, for example, and I'm not going to say too much because it's not set in stone yet, and when we get off this call, I'm actually going to email them and put it on lock. But on the cruise, I walked up to somebody that I knew I wanted to work with in the future, and I said, "Hey, I think you should book me." And they said, "I'm sorry?" And I was like, "I've heard great things about your promotion, and I really want to work with you. And I know other people that do work with you, and I think you should book me." And they were like, "Okay." And I said, I'm Val Capone from Chicago. I work with this promotion, this promotion, this promotion. I rattled them all off. And I said, and I do I do backstage correspondent work, ring announcing, and commentary. And even though that's not alphabetically correct, that's the order in which I started. I said, like, no, bring that beat back. I said, I do ring announcing, backstage correspondent work, and commentary. And even though that's not grammatically correct, that's the order in which I started my career in wrestling.
Yeah.
And I can do any and all, and I do all three, sometimes all in one night. And I would like to do any and all, maybe even all three, sometimes all in one night for you. And this person laughed and he goes, "All right, well, I need at least one of those. Would you be interested in?" And I said, yes, I would. And then they said, "All right, well, let's talk." And I was like, perfect. That's what I would like to do for you. I would like to talk into a microphone. And then they were like, "All right, well, you're on vacation, so I don't want to take up too much of your time." And I was like, and vice versa. And they said, "Would you like to meet a few other people from our promotion?" And I said, yes, I would. And then I met a bunch more people that also happened to be on the cruise and didn't expect that. And then I met their partner of the promotion, and their partner was like, "Oh, I've heard of you." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's great. It's nice to meet you." And we just started talking. And then I ended up hanging out with them for like, I saw them a few more times on the cruise. And before the end of the cruise, they were like, "Hey, Val, what size are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I typically wear a small and I always cut the sleeves off." And they were like, "Oh, I only have large and 2X." And I was like, "Oh, that's okay." And they're like, "Oh, I didn't mean anything by it." And I go, "No, I don't take anything as such. People always assume I wear an extra large. But no, I rock a small and I rock it well." And then they laughed and they were like, "No, that's just the only sizes I have left. I didn't mean anything by it." I was like, "I don't take any offense. I'm a large woman that rocks a small shirt." And they laughed and they were like, "I'll make sure to have a small for you next time when you come down and work with us." And I was like, "Okay, perfect."
All right.
So, and, I have their business card in my fanny pack pocket and they've already sent me an email. So,
All right.
yeah.
Getting some exciting things in the works. Well,
Yeah. And it's a state I've never worked in. So I'm excited about that.
Hey, always good to get in some new places and, you taking a chance getting over there and talking to them. Well, that is really about all I have before we go. Where can people find you if they don't have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there?
Well, on Instagram, I'm under Val Fonts, which is what it is short for. Val is not short for Valerie, even though it's one of the greatest songs of all time, written by Steve Winwood and also by Mark Ronson, performed by Amy Winehouse. It's Val Fonts, like Alphonse, VALPHONSE, or on Twitter at Val Capone. And you can always email me if you are interested in working with me in the future at bookvalcapone@gmail.com.
Definitely, and we'll have links and all that set up in the description. My dogs are acting crazy right now, so I think we will go ahead and wrap up because I think they're about ready for bed. But thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight, and best of luck with that new thing you got going there. Hopefully all works out for the best. I am excited to eventually hear about it when things get set in stone. And well, you're welcome back anytime.
Oh yeah, whenever you want to chat, I'm always down to talk. And thanks for putting up with my crappy internet and also my cough. I'm really sorry about that. But thanks for being patient.
It's all good. I know I've just a couple weeks ago got over a little something myself, so it's all good. We'll get there.
All right, everybody. Want to thank the sponsor today, Reaper Apparel. Want to encourage everybody to break out of the comfort zone, live their best self, which I very much support. They got great apparel, hats, shirts, beanies, hoodies, all that good shit. Be sure when you go on to reaperapparel.com, use the code DRINKIN for 10% off your order. Let's fucking go.